Hi, my name is Arminda Garza. This is the second episode of Populist Brief video news. Last week we did not do an episode due to technical difficulties, but we are back up and running and ready to cover a week of amazing news and try to make sense out of what is going on in the world. Let's start by talking about Donald Trump, the 2018 midterm elections, and the resistance he is going to feel. He is not just going to feel resistance from the Democrats. He is also being resisted by the big money super donors of the Republican establishment. Two of the most powerful donors in the GOP fold, Charles and David Koch, are going to actively combat Trump in his agenda for 2018. The Koch network is now open to working with the Democratic Party directly on issues of cooperation like open borders. They are promoting a speaker series with the United Negro College Fund. They dislike Donald Trump because his policies against free trade and open immigration hurt the bottom line of the oil billionaires. While the liberal media likes to talk about President Trump doing the bidding of the wealthy, the moves being made by the Koch brothers seem to indicate the opposite is taking place. Trump is willing to take money out of the pockets of the ultra-rich if he feels it will help American workers and American interests. Another powerful entity is angry about Trump's push for tariffs as well, the International Monetary Fund. The IMF is saying that Trump's move against the status quo of free trade could be disastrous for global prosperity. IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde said the system of rules and shared responsibility is now in danger of being torn apart, and this would be an inexcusable collective policy failure. Governments need to steer clear of protectionism in all its forms, Lagarde said. History shows that import restrictions hurt everyone, especially poorer consumers. Trump is showing off a bit of his own progress, though, as he uses tariffs as a tool to help gain leverage on other countries. He wants to secure more favorable terms for American workers and American interests in trade deals, and is rapidly making gains towards that goal. Trump said in a tweet this week that he is very thankful for President Xi of China's kind words on tariffs and automobile barriers. Also, his enlightenment on intellectual property and technology transfers will make great progress together. With Trump's expert deal-making ability, perhaps a trade war may not be on the horizon after all. Now, on a scarier note, the world is closer to World War III than it has been in any time in recent memory. Syria is suspected of conducting a chemical attack. Russia doesn't buy it, but Trump does. And everything is up in the air. The people who plotted the Iraq war that Donald Trump once called the biggest mistake in history are now pushing for another bloody war in Syria. Tony Blair, who served as Prime Minister in the United Kingdom from 1997 to 2007, pushed for the second Iraq war with U.S. President George W. Bush. Although he no longer matters in British politics, that hasn't stopped Blair from doing a recent media blitz in favor of war in Syria. He was on Sky News advocating missile strikes in Syria this week. Meanwhile, American warmongers hit Twitter to spread propaganda and lies as the justification for another costly war. Trump's pledge to withdraw from #Syria has only emboldened Assad. Backed by Russia and Iran to commit more war crimes, Senator McCain wrote in a tweet, #Trump responded after last year's chemical attack. He should do so again and make Assad pay a price for his brutality. How many more innocent children and civilians does Assad have to kill before the world unites to punish him? Senator Marco Rubio asked in a tweet. Sadly, won't happen at the useless UN because #Putin has Security Council veto. If the UN can no longer deal with a criminal like Assad, what can it do? Will Assad pay a big price? President Trump must deliver on his threats, and big price should include destruction of air power and intelligence operations. And making Assad a target? Senator Lindsey Graham said in a tweet, when it comes to Assad's #Syria, it's now time to cut off the head of the snake. While Trump is hearing from many warmongers, most of whom hated him and tried to ruin him when he was running for president, one of his biggest longtime supporters in the U.S. House is crying foul about Syria. Representative Thomas Massie, the liberty-loving U.S. representative from Kentucky, is urging President Trump to follow the Constitution on Syria. He believes that there is no congressional authorization to strike the government of Syria, and referenced the words of founding father George Washington, who was against aggressive war undeclared by Congress. Massey's colleague, Representative Justin Amash from Michigan, chimed in as well to back up his friend's points. He said in a tweet that Congress hasn't authorized war against Syria unless President Trump expects imminent attack on U.S. Use of force is unconstitutional and illegal. Massey also doesn't believe the official story behind the chemical attack. He said, "I don't think Assad would have done that. It does not serve his interest." Massey's words are backed up by those of the United Nations. The globalist body has not been able to find any evidence that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad committed chemical weapon attacks this past weekend. Adding credibility to Massey's assertion is the fact that Russia announced weeks in advance that there would be a false flag attack in the same region of Syria where it ultimately ended up happening. And certainly, it does seem very fishy that every time it looks like Assad is gaining in Syria, that one of these chemical attacks seem to happen at very opportune times to turn the world against him and create war to destroy his government. Another thing the chemical attacks have done is distract people from what is happening with the caravan of third world migrants crossing the U.S. southern border. While it was widely reported that the caravan was stopped, that it is being disputed by caravan organizers who claim that hundreds of migrants stuck in Mexico right now are still willing to cross the U.S. border. Reuters did note that many refugees are alarmed by President Trump's declaration of troops at the border, and some of them would stay in Mexico or return home as a result. Others will not budge and maintain they will cross the U.S. border no matter what. Mexico claims that it is deporting some migrants back to their home countries. The caravan is an event that has taken place every year for quite some time, but it has gained headlines this year due to the heated political climate. Trump's rise has caused open border advocates on the left to become more bold and desperate. With the Syrian disaster and FBI raiding Trump's lawyer earlier this week, it remains to be seen if Trump will be able to dedicate enough of his time and focus to border security. And in our final story, we are going to talk about a case that is very important of free speech and the First Amendment. Former pastor and family man Keith Wood was arrested for handing out pamphlets outside of a Michigan courthouse. He was getting the word out about jury nullification, the notion that jurors should judge not only the defendant in a particular case, but also the law itself. Wood was charged with the 5-year felony for simply handing out these flyers. Some of those charges were dropped, but he was still convicted of jury tampering in June 2017. Wood is not taking this line down, and bipartisan groups are supporting his appeal. The ACLU Cato Institute and the Fully Informed Jury Association field briefs in favor of Woods as he gets ready for another court case. Wood's lawyer told Fox 17 News that our client's constitutional right to free speech was abridged here. It was violated, and we have groups from all sides of the spectrum here agreeing with this. This is a clear-cut First Amendment constitutional violation. It should never have even gotten to this point, and we're trusting that the Court of Appeals will see it that way. Every person who cares about the Bill of Rights and Constitution should support Keith Woods as he continues his crusade for justice and refuses to back down under the pressure. "I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ," Woods said. "Jesus said the truth will set you free, and I want people to know the truth. If you don't use your rights, you lose them." On that note, we are concluding episode 2 of Populist Brief Video News. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Please check out Populist Brief online at pbnews.com or check it out on Gab, Steemit, Facebook, and YouTube at Populist Brief. We will be expanding and adding more content in the weeks to come, so be sure to stay tuned. Once again, I am Arminda Garza, and I will be seeing you next week for more PB Video News. Thank you.